Shalom Aleichem. It's almost Shabbat. Very powerful reading this week, describing the giving of the Torah. Right before the giving of the Torah, there's an exchange between God and Moses. Moses, the greatest prophet, who was arguably dialed in to God's truth in a more profound way than anyone, asks God to reveal his essence to him. He says, Hareini na'az kvodecha, show me your full glory. And God says, nah, I can't do that. I can only show you, even you, Moses, my indirect truth. That's panai lo yira. You can't see my face. You can see me from behind. And there's an interesting midrash that says that God showed Moses his neck, obviously metaphorically speaking, and on the back of his neck there was an image of the kesher, the knot of the tefillin that God was wearing. I guess this is based on the famous midrash that says that any mitzvah that God asks us to do, he does himself. So it goes without saying that if God asks us to wear tefillin, he's wearing tefillin as well. And the midrash is interesting on many levels, but the language is powerful here. The word kesher, which alludes to the knot of the tefillin, also means connection. And essentially, what's being suggested over here is that unlike Moses' need and desire to have this direct connection with God, the response is that if you want to have a meaningful encounter, then you can't see me face to face. Because if you see me face to face, what's going to happen is your persona, your human consciousness will be entirely flattened. Because there is no way for a human consciousness, a separate identity, to surface in the face of that kind of presence. And so God says, I want to have a relationship with you, and I want to just be myself with you. But if I do that, then there'll be no you. And if there's no you, with a separate identity, with a separate set of thoughts and desires and needs that don't necessarily fit my thoughts and desires and needs, if I don't protect that part of you, then our relationship will be meaningless, because it will be more coercive and less authentic. And that's not what I'm reaching for. I want to be in a relationship, God tells Moses, where my sense of who I am and your sense of who you are is intact. And from that place, we figure out ways to interact, not by obliterating one's identity or each other's identity, but by preserving it and finding ways to connect meaningfully. And that's really at the heart of the covenant. God says, I want you to connect to me, but I want it to be you who's connecting to me. I want you to want to be engaged with me, and I don't want to overpower you into engaging with me, which is a healthy model for not just the relationship on a religious level, but for human relationships. Because if you think about it, there's really two extremes. People could say, I will show nothing of who I am to anybody, and therefore I'll protect myself. I won't be hurt. And then there's the opposite extreme of, I want to just be fully who I am to the other. And what happens then is that in the process, the other is not protected because you're coming on so strong. And so boundaries help establish connections. So the kesher, which is on the back, the knot of the tefillin, which is on the back, is also, ironically,